Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission, well, it's pretty straightforward. We want to give you kind of shortcut to boosting your vocabulary. We're going to do this by tracing just one single ancient Latin root.
And if you get this one root, you really do unlock dozens of words.
Yeah.
It's a huge advantage for understanding things across history, grammar, even just critical reading.
Okay, so what's this powerhouse root?
The core anchor is JUNCT. It comes straight from the Latin verb younger. Specifically, it's past participle, junctus.
Junctus, okay.
And it holds this really potent core meaning to join, or maybe more vividly, to yoke together.
To yoke together. And tracing that idea, you said, takes us way back, like a linguistic time machine.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing. The lineage of JUNCT stretches all the way back to a Proto-Indo-European root, yoke.
Yoke. Okay, that sounds ancient.
It is. And what's fascinating is how widespread this root is.
Yeah.
Yug is the ancestor of our common English word yoke, the wooden bar for joining oxen.
Right, the actual physical thing.
Yes. And maybe the biggest surprise, it's also the ancestor of the Sanskrit word yoga.
Yoga? Really?
Yep, which literally means union. So whether you're talking about farming or spiritual practice, you're touching the same ancient idea of joining.
That's incredible. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's see it in action. If we're talking about joining or yoking, where does this root show up in its most maybe powerful or even kind of terrifying visual form?
Well, for that, we absolutely have to start with the word subjugate.
The subjugate, okay.
This gives us the most visceral picture of the root. It breaks down easily. Sub, meaning under.
Under, right?
Plus the Latin word jugum, which is the physical wooden yoke.
So subjugate literally means to be put under the yoke.
Precisely. Historically, after a big military loss, Roman armies had this, deeply humiliating ritual. They'd force the captured soldiers to physically pass under a yoke.
Wow.
It was a symbol of their complete and utter submission. Being totally yoked, controlled by someone else, that's the origin.
That is intense. Okay, so from that kind of historical brutality, the idea shifts quite a bit when we look at, say, how we link things structurally, right? Like in grammar, thinking of conjunction.
Yes, exactly. The root meaning holds. Joining things together. Con meaning with or together.
Right.
And, for anyone of a certain generation, that's Schoolhouse Rock. Song from '73, Conjunction Junction.
Oh, yeah. Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
That's the one. It perfectly personified the idea, didn't it?
Right.
A railroad junction car joining parts of sentences. It made the grammatical concept really stick.
It really did. And it shows the consistency, right? Whether you're talking grammar or just using the phrase in conjunction with, it's still about joining, bringing things together.
Absolutely. And connecting that idea, think about how the word juncture evolved.
Okay, juncture. How does that fit?
Well, initially it just meant a physical joining point, like a seam where two things are literally joined.
The literal connection.
Right. But then, around the 17th century, it developed this figurative meaning that we use all the time now. A critical point in time where events or circumstances join or intersect.
So like at this juncture in her career.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
The idea of a physical meeting point got transferred to a critical moment, a joining point in time.
That makes total sense. Okay, now what about some of the maybe less obvious relatives? Words where the join idea is a bit hidden.
Sure. We have conjugal, which relates to marriage, the symbolic yoking or joining of a couple.
Right, the joining of two people.
And then there's conjugation in grammar that's joining a verb root with all its different endings.
Okay, still joining. But you mentioned a really surprising one earlier.
Yes. Probably the biggest linguistic twist here is juxtapose.
Juxtapose, to place things side by side, right, for comparison. How is that related to yoking?
Well, it comes from the Latin word juxta, which means beside or near. But tracing juxta back further, it seems it evolved from a form that meant something like closely yoked or connected.
No way. So even just putting things next to each other linguistically relies on that old image of the yoke.
It seems so. It's a fascinating echo of that ancient root.
So the big takeaway here, the shortcut for everyone listening, is basically if you see junct or jug in a word, think join, link, or yoke.
That's absolutely the key. See that root, visualize joining. It unlocks so much meaning instantly. Even when you see a negative prefix, like disjointed.
Right. Disjointed clearly means not joined, broken apart, lacking connection.
Exactly. It's been unjoined. That single visual cue, that core meaning, is your path to mastering all these related words.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we think about how language evolves, 19th century America took this route for words like junction to describe new railroad crossings, a very literal joining of technology and landscape. What new words might we create today using the same core idea of joining? Think about describing complex AI networks or how social media connects people or maybe even new forms of collaboration. The concept of joining keeps finding new applications, doesn't it?
It really does. The vocabulary of joining is definitely still evolving. Something to think about.